Hello and welcome to City Skylines, where today I'm going to show you how to make some rural villages. And so we're going to take it from looking like this to looking like this. And we're going to show you how to do all of that today. So first up is looking for an area to build your village. So I would recommend building it away from any main roads, as most villages normally have smaller roads going towards them. So that's what I looked for, the most rural spot to build the village in. So I found the area which I wanted to build in. So next was deciding how the road was actually going to get there and how people were actually going to access it. So I got to work on building a junction so that people could access the area. So after I built the junction, I decided I would start work on the road getting towards where the village would be. So I decided traditionally country roads are more windy than not windy. So I got to work on trying to make a windy road all the way to the forest area that I wanted to build in. As you can tell, I did have a few issues to start off with how I was going to make it windy, but I managed to get there. Next I decided I was going to mark out each area where a village is going to be with a different district. That way I knew exactly how big each village was going to be. I cut out the bit where I was looking for each side because it took a very long time for me to find one. Next I moved on to the roads, so I decided for the roads at the main part of the village they should be in straight lines, because that's normally what you find inside the village. So I started working almost like a cross shape to start off with, so we got like a main area of the village down, and yeah. After we got the main area down, I started work on putting out some smaller pathways, well, smaller roads out from the main cross area. So this would be where most of the houses would be based. So next I decided to work on my second village that I was going to build, and this one was going to be a bit bigger than the other one. So I decided I would put a bypass that went around the village so that people didn't get trapped in the traffic. Also, it meant there was a quicker way rather than going round the windy road. Afterwards I decided I was going to build the village inside the area, but because of the curvy roads I decided that it would be harder to build straight lines and easier to make them slightly more curved. I also decided to add an extension to the road towards the lake, so that houses could be built along there, and they'd have a good view of the lake. Eventually it ended up looking like this, and this is my final idea. As we had a little bit at the top, as you can see, near the bypass, where there'd be houses, and there was a bit at the bottom, and these areas would probably be the more richer areas, and then you'd just have the main city in the middle. Next I moved on to an island called Cooper Island, and I decided that I was going to make this like a extra road where you could get from the highway all the way to the other bit of the highway, skipping out the main highway in case there was traffic or something. Also, this gave me another idea to build another village on this island. Next I moved on to making all the zoning, so the commercial and the residential. I also decided some of the cities should be specialised. So, as you can see here, in the central road, where the main road comes up and joins, we have the commercial bit in the middle there. So that would be like the village centre. And then the rest of the houses are built all the way around it. And I've made sure I've kept all of them light residential, so that they're not too big, because it is a village, and villages don't really tend to have very big houses in them. I also decided this area was going to specialise in trees, so I decided to start work on building like a forestry area. As they're mainly based in a wood, I thought it would make sense for them to be a tree felling village like. So this is how the village ended up looking in the end. So it was mainly houses like you would find in a village, with a tiny bit of commercial and a tiny bit of industrial. Next we moved on to the other village, where I decided I wasn't going to particularly specialise it, but instead I was going to give it its own park. And as it was a bigger village, I gave it a bit more commercial, so mainly on the main roads, as you can see, like this main straight line road here, and also there was a bit down near the river as well, lake even as well, just because that is an area where tourists are most likely to come to. And I decided this area was going to specialise in parks mainly, so keeping the residents happy and making sure tourists come to the area. In the end I decided to build a park across the front of the lake to help make it look a little bit better. On Cooper Island I decided that I was going to specialise it in fishing, but got a bit confused as to how I should lay it out to start off with. And eventually I decided that the fishing would be on the bottom road, and that the rest of it would remain as just houses and a bit of commercial here and there, at mainly the intersections, like at all the areas in all the villages. This is how it eventually looked after I did some tweaks and changes. I think I'd take out one of the fishing piers, but other than that, everything else was exactly how it is now. Oh, there you go. Next I built a water and power plant, and made sure it was separate from the rest of the village. This meant that they were all reliable on one source, which is probably what you'd expect from small villages, as there wouldn't be a need for them to have their separate sources. I also made dumps. I made 2 different dumps, one for the 2 main villages and another one for the island. And I obviously made sure they had power and all that from the facilities, otherwise they won't run. That concludes this video on how to build a village in City Skylines. Next we'll show you some nice pictures of the city, well, village, sorry, after I had built it, and it had all been filled up.